When asked to imagine owning $1 billion, most people probably just think back to their childhood and picture Scrooge McDuck diving into his closet full of gleaming gold coins. Given how ludicrous $1 billion is, it makes sense. Many people do, however, manage to save that much money. Simply keeping it in the bank is all you need to do when you have that much money to be wealthy forever. However, the bad decisions made by some billionaires, coupled with a financial crisis, managed to blow away billions of dollars. So who are we talking about, and how is it possible to lose billions of dollars? Well, let's get started. Number 7. Vijay Mallya, $1.7 billion. Vijay Mallya is a former liquor entrepreneur who amassed $1 billion and was notorious for throwing wild parties and living a high-end lifestyle. Moreover, he was the former owner of Kingfisher Airlines in India, which has since gone out of business. It wasn't until 2012 that it was publicly announced that Mallya had accrued a substantial bank debt while attempting to keep his airline company in operation. He had taken out loans from Indian banks, which led to the banks pursuing him when he fell behind on his payments. He escaped from India to the United Kingdom by using a diplomatic passport that he had obtained as a result of his election to the upper house of the Indian Parliament. To date, Mallya has never returned to India despite the government's and other banks' best efforts to extradite him so they can pursue legal action. However, following the filing of a petition for bankruptcy to reclaim $1.145 billion in unpaid obligations, Mallya's net worth has had a sharp decrease. Number 6. Patricia Kluge, $2 billion. In 1981, John W. Kluge tied the knot with Patricia. John's net worth was $5 billion when Forbes magazine named him the richest person in the United States. John also momentarily held the title of the richest man in the world. After the couple separated 9 years later and filed for divorce, Patricia Kluge was awarded a large settlement that included their enormous Albemarle estate and $1 million annually. This estate was the cause of both the increase and decrease in Patricia Kluge's wealth. Together with her third husband, Patricia Kluge established the Kluge Estate Winery and Vineyard on 960 acres to turn her property into a profitable business. She had a short run of success as a result of the fact that the wines produced by the estate were sold at prestigious spots throughout the country. On the other hand though, Kluge was unable to stay in business and lost all the money she invested right before the 2008 housing market fell. In 2011, the Bank of America foreclosed on the Albemarle winery, but Donald Trump was able to purchase the property for a fraction of what it was worth on the open market. Kluge sold all of her magnificent jewels and other pleasures at auction to prevent herself from declaring bankruptcy. However, after realizing it wouldn't be successful, Kluge filed for bankruptcy under Chapter 7 in June 2011. Number 5. Alan Stanford, $2.2 billion. Alan Stanford was a very crafty criminal. Even though he put a lot of effort into his endeavors, no one is familiar with him because he was only responsible for the second largest Ponzi scam in the world. As a result of the fact that the discovery of Stanford was made 2 months after Bernie Madoff, it received less attention than it deserved. In 2008, Forbes included Stanford on its list of the 400 most influential people in the world with an estimated value of $2.2 billion. But, well, he made all of his money in a Ponzi scheme worth $7 billion and sold fraudulent certificates of deposit from his offshore bank in Antigua, but he didn't think twice about spending it when he got it. In a span of 3 years, he spent a total of $100 million on travel. In 1985, Stanford opened his first bank outside of the United States. In the same manner as Madoff, he guaranteed ridiculously high returns on investment. But even as early as 1997, the SEC was aware that something was amiss, and there were rumors about how he did it, but for some reason they did nothing to investigate. In February of 2009 though, everything came to a grinding halt, ultimately leading to Stanford's current financial position and his sentence of 110 years in prison. Number 4. Jocelyn Wildenstein, $2.5 billion. It was said that Jocelyn Wildenstein spent $1 million each month on exquisite things and $5,000 on her phone bills. However, the socialite unexpectedly declared absolute bankruptcy in May 2018 and stated that she had no money left in her account. According to sources, Jocelyn Wildenstein's net worth fell significantly due to her wild spending. According to the New York Post, she mentioned in the petition that she did not have a consistent source of income, and she relied on $900 in social security payments and assistance from her friends and family to make ends meet. She claimed that her financial difficulties were due to an unfair divorce settlement. In an interview with the New York Post, Wildenstein stated that she had been promised far more money even though she had already spent most of the $2.5 billion she had gained through the divorce. She received 2 paintings as part of the settlement, one by Diego Velázquez, which later turned out to be a fraud, and one by Paul Cézanne, which also later turned out to be a fake. Both of those paintings were forged. Number 3. Sean Quinn, $2.8 billion. Sean Quinn gained a tremendous fortune by investing in various businesses including plastic, glass, and hotels. Moreover, he had a 25% ownership in Anglo-Irish Bank, a financial institution that was saved by the government in the wake of the financial crisis of 2008. After the government gained control of the bank, the Quinn family and the bank were involved in several legal disputes with one another. Once considered the richest man in Ireland, Quinn has seen most of his $2.8 billion fortune evaporate. According to the Irish Bank Resolution Corp, which ran Anglo-Irish Bank after it was taken over, Quinn owed the bank more than €2 billion. Soon after he attempted to conceal his assets from the bank to avoid repaying his obligations, he was charged with contempt of court for failing to comply with the court's decision. According to the Financial Times, Quinn filed for bankruptcy in November 2011 after declaring that he only had assets worth $50,000 or less. Number 2. Sam Bankman-Fried, $16 billion. The tragic story of how Sam Bankman-Fried lost $1 billion in 3 days has made many question cryptocurrencies. There are even entire articles and videos on how to lose $16 billion in just 3 days. Sam Bankman-Fried, the owner and founder of FTX, watched his wealth of $16 billion evaporate essentially overnight, which sparked considerable astonishment and fury in the world of finance. Some believe that this is the largest individual financial loss that has occurred in history. After declaring bankruptcy, Bankman-Fried, better known by his initials SBF, resigned as the CEO of FTX. FTX was the second largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world and the one with the quickest growth rate. At the beginning of this year, he even made investments with Robinhood Markets. Now, Bloomberg reports that his shares and ownership have lost all of their value. However, there is a possibility that Bankman-Fried possesses assets not reflected in the index, such as cash and real estate. But the fact that $16 billion could be reduced to $1 billion and finally to zero represents one of the biggest potential wealth losses in human history's annals. According to Bloomberg's rank of billionaires, the loss of 94% of his fortune in a single day was the largest one-day decrease in wealth that has ever been recorded. Bankman-Fried was one of the youngest billionaires on the Forbes list, but now he's just another guy. Number 1. Bernie Madoff, $20 billion. Bernie Madoff is notorious for operating the biggest Ponzi scam in American history. It wasn't until December 2008 that the authorities finally caught up with Madoff, a seasoned banker who had escaped them for several years. But before the controversy, he and his wife had a net worth of $2 to $5 billion combined. He was the founder of LLC Investment Securities on Wall Street in 1960 and was the chairman of the Nasdaq for many years. However, when investors sought payouts totaling $7 billion, his massive Ponzi scheme started to come apart. According to CNN Business, Bernie Madoff defrauded his customers a staggering $65 billion. During the scheme's height, Bernie Madoff was able to amass more than $20 billion in assets from his many investors, but the Department of Justice officially charged him with 11 different crimes, including larceny, perjury, fraud, and money laundering, and he was given the highest sentence that could have been imposed, 150 years in federal prison. So it's quite crazy how these guys lost billions of dollars, but now the question is for you. What would you do with $1 billion? How would you spend it, and what would you invest it in? Be sure to comment below and let us know. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you never miss an upload. If you want to know more about the famous, rich, and powerful people who went broke in history, be sure to check out our previous video.